All right, so whenever you're ready, we can start.
I am. I
More than
am.
ready. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Top Minds, where I interview impactful, brilliant thinkers to explore and rethink the future of humanity as a consequence of evolving technology. So, thanks to this interview series, I will call it. Because of it, I get to meet many intelligent and also impactful individuals who are able to providing me with a number of insights and ideas for the work I'm doing, the book, The Digital Mind of Tomorrow, and the community that I'm trying to build to together discuss the impact of technology and the emergence of a new era in human evolution. And today, I'm so thrilled to welcome our newest member, today's Top Minds featured guest, Michael Rada. Hi, Michael. Say hi.
Hi, nice to see you, Isabella.
So wonderful to have you here. So Michael is the founding father of Industry 5.0, and he's also a world known as a human, and we're going to talk about that. Very interesting description. And Industry 5.0 founder. Michael is the founder and the board member of the International Business Center of Sustainable Development, IBCSD. As the global champion for a wasteless world, he remains involved in teaching logistics, global supply chain efficiency, sustainability, and innovation to schools and universities. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for doing all of this, Michael. And thank you very much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion.
Likewise, I can't wait. So if you don't know, usually I introduce the guests and I like to open the talk by knowing them as a person. By saying that, I want to invite you to use 3 words to describe yourself as a person and tell us why you chose them.
Michael, Rada, human. These are the 3 words. Why I choose them? Because they represent myself in a full complexity. They represent myself as the being, which I am. They represent myself as a person, which is the name. They represent me, you don't know it, but the surname of Rada, this means in Czech language advice. So generally,
it's exactly spelled like that, R-A-D-A?
Rada.
Rada.
Yes, Rada, exactly. And it means advice. So in Japan, for example, when I make a workshop, they call me Mr. Question. They didn't know that my surname was advice. But I love questions and I love ask and being asked question.
Interesting. And human.
Human, because I realized a long time ago that no matter which title was on my business card, it has generally no meaning. And one day I realized that if I put there human and I stand in the first time in front of the audience, it's 6 years ago, and I use it, I said, I'm Michael Rada, human. I never saw impact similar to this moment, and even now I have a goosebumps on my skin every time when I remind myself, so as the others, that human is the one who should be kept and put first in front of any other titles.
Wow, we're going to talk about a lot of that, So you have a lot of probably goosebumps today because we're going to touch into the human topic. And you kind of touch into the second question I was going to follow up with is I found you have a very interesting signature, I would say, at the end of your article. And it seems like it's also part of your philosophy and belief. You always put human after your name, Michael Rada, human. And this letter is from Michael Rada, human. And it says a lot, like you touch a little bit on it. So is there any other story you want to share inspired you to do that constantly?
Yes, you mentioned it correctly because it should express and remind everyone on this aspect. And for me, it is important because, I do not want anyone to, even in my presentation, I put the Industry 5.0 founder on a second place every time because it's not so important. And I am happy that I was just today in the morning, I have an interview in Azerbaijan, very interesting discussion. And I was asked whether when I introduce myself as a human or when they see my business card where the title is the only one which is written there, whether they feel crazy or somehow, and the very opposite is the reality. Nobody make joke out of it. And what is important, with the process of digitalization, where there is a lot of push on the digitalization, I do fear that soon the speaker can speak to the hall full of computers. Even in COVID, we have saw it. So we are speaking thanks to the computer. When I make a workshop to India, I don't see screen, I don't see faces, I see avatars. So I see computers.
Right.
And this is why I try to remind everyone on the first, really most important part in our life, because we are born as humans, we will live as humans. So we should live as humans. And these three parts should be there.
And the reason you are so into it must be something you feel it's missing. People are really appreciate the human feature of a human, I assume.
Yes. Many people concentrate really on the titles. You see His Excellency, you see presidents. If you hear just to Davos 22 or COP26, they don't speak to others, to the audience, dear ladies and gentlemen anymore. They speak about presidency and excellencies and whatever. So this aspect is really lost. And the only thing when you see the word human in a factory, it's only one place. The Office of Human Resources. And there, the human is reduced to resource. So it's the same like the electricity, water, material. It's just a resource. And I don't agree with it. And, I am a fan of science fiction. And generally, there is 75 kilometers from here was the word, sorry for that, was the word robot invented and sound for the first time. It was in 1921.
1921, okay.
When the author called Karel Čapek, which is a writer and screenplayer, very famous, used the word in his novel called R.U.R. And I do recommend everyone, I will send you the link.
Okay.
BBC made just 1 month ago, they published, because it's 101 anniversary of Karel Čapek, they make a radio screenplay. They made it really, really well. And I do recommend everyone who thinks that robots are the future to listen to this.
Why?
101 years old story.
What's the top reason you recommend it? What's the message you want them to get by watching it?
Because he pointed out already at the time that if our dependency to technology will be unlimited, the technology will not need us. The robots will remain on the planet, but they don't need people. And it is really the first one which touched this topic, and he used the word. So it's quite interesting that the same happened in the country where generally almost 100 years later, the Industry 5.0 was developed as a completely new award and content. So it's quite interesting topic. So this is why I'm speaking about it.
And you do see it's possible. You do see
Yes.
it coming if we keep going on this path with the technology, with addiction. Yeah. Okay. So I guess the next question will fit into this very well. And you can definitely elaborate on that. So I found this from your article. I like to read it aloud for the audience, and I love you to elaborate based on what you wrote. So you said to enjoy the digital future, the man must turn digital as well. Just plug in. So the happiness will come forever until someone took the plug out or just turned the switch off. What's the underlying message? What are you trying to say? Explain to us.
I try to say that generally in our lives, in the physical life, we depend what we do.
Yes.
Whether I will go to sleep or whether I will eat or so. It's my decision.
Yes.
And if I have the access, I will do it. But if we depend on something which is being led and managed by someone else, it will not be us. It will be someone else who hold the key. And if they decided for whatever reason, it happened few months ago in my country, the government says that part of the news should be eliminated. It was related to Russia and Ukraine, and part of the fake news, they call it fake news.
Right.
They selected some servers and they said switch it off.
Okay.
And in 1 minute to another, they switch it off. Same happened in almost all the countries all over the globe.
Yes.
There are information which are, let's say,
they're censored, they're filtered, they're selected.
Exactly. And I lived for 18 years in Czechoslovak Socialist Republic. We live behind so-called Iron Curtain. So we cannot see anything behind to the west. We can look only to the east. Because it was said to us that west is the evil. And we cannot travel, we cannot anything. So,
yes.
And I lived there for 18 years. So the entire youth I spent behind the Iron Curtain. And at the end, the Iron Curtain fall down. There was no evil. There was not people who will kill me. No, they welcome us. They speak with us like with anyone else. And it was interesting. So I point out that it is very easy to fall down in the trap of digital addiction. Even I did. In 2019, I was addicted to my smartphone. I realized that when I saw the analytics on the Android, which says I have opened my smartphone, so unlock it, 357 times a day. And at the moment I said, wow, I am addicted. So I did something which you cannot do because you are too young to do that, to remember this.
Tell me.
But I go to my cupboard and I took this beautiful lady out. It's called Nokia 631i. And it is the only mobile phone in mobile phone history, the only one, not a single repeated, which was 3 years in a row, the best mobile phone of the world.
Wow, and you still can find it, or you've been kept it.
I have it in my cupboard, and I said to me, okay, when I'm addicted to a smartphone, I will use for 3 months this one. If I can turn it on, I did, and following happened. After 10 years in a box, I don't know whether you see it, it was 80% battery there, after 10 years in a box. So I said, okay, I will use it. But there was an issue. Inside such a phone fit only 99 contacts. But in my smartphone are 3,600. And I need camera. This has no camera, of course. So, but I said, okay, I will use for calls and SMS messages only this old phone. And I will take pictures with the other. What was interesting, the Nokia need only 2 months to teach me why I am addicted. And it was a surprise for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
The addiction came from notification in the applications. Because the application push you, open me, look at me.
Right.
And that's the way.
You have a message, you have a notification, you have to check it out.
Brad Pitt makes something on the other part of the world, and whoever. So that's make you addicted. So it's easy to slip in the addiction. And just now think, if you are addicted, how will you behave if somebody hold the switch and say, okay, if you will not behave right, I will turn the switch off. Every addicted person is addicted. It takes some time to not to get addicted anymore. So it is very dangerous, and everything what is connected to electricity, to data, especially data, is being really dangerous. So this is why with Industry 5.0, we go back to roots. We have the smartphones, but we use it as a smartphone. We use it as a tool, not to rule. And that's a big difference.
So back to the roots, meaning back to who are the one should be in control, who are the one.
Yes.
And that person is human.
Exactly. It should be us, not the technology. The technology should help us. Yes, we will be able to communicate like now. We will be able to send messages fast. That's fine. But it shouldn't tell me when I should go to bed. It's my decision, not a smartwatch decision. It's me.
Yes. Exactly. And the crazy part is we're so used to it, as you mentioned, younger generation, that seems making all the sense to them, to talk to smartphone, to listen to them. Very funny. I probably kind of subconsciously inspired by you from our last conversation, because I noticed I don't really use my Apple Watch. It was fun at the beginning. It's been a couple of years, and then I stopped really using it. So and you mentioned you stopped watching all these wearing all these devices. So I gave it away to a dear friend of mine. She's like a second mom to me, and she's around 70s, so to help her track her health condition, walking steps, and she got sometimes crack up or flip out of how this watch is bothering her so much, like, oh, you're crashing your goal, or keep it going, you're doing good job. Almost every hour there's a messaging sending to a human, like trying to be a friend of human. So to her, it's very controversial, and she's like, leave me alone, I don't need your voice. So, but for me, I wasn't even aware, oh, this is just another thing it should do to me from the technology. So this kind of difference really make us think, what's the real reality? Yeah.
May I ask you, how do you feel without your Apple Watch? Is it different?
You mean feel from...
Generally, you do not have this notification at the moment on your wrist. So do you have more time? Do you feel more freedom? Or do you find the time which you did not have before?
Of course, 100%. I actually started doing what you told me last time, a couple years ago, mute my phone, and I turn off almost all the notifications except the phone ringing and the message. All the apps are off, and it's been on mute for I think 5 or 6 years for now. So I definitely feel what you're saying, and it's not a pleasant feeling to be hooked on your device. That's for sure. I wish more and more people are aware or willing to try this. Apparently it seems challenging, and I wrote all of this in my book. All of this.
I am looking forward to read it, because it will be so interesting. Already on the first interaction which we had, it was so interesting that you and we are, let's say, in different age category, that we are speaking exactly the same language. You feel exactly what I feel, that It's really interesting. And what I do when I have workshops, I ask the people to switch the mobile phone off completely. And they said, it's impossible. I said, try it. You will see it is possible. You can do it. It's hard, but if the people don't reach you, they will call you the next time. If it's important, if it's not,
they will find a way to find you. And you made a really good point earlier about how anxious we get when we're disconnected. That's the real dangers, because we're so used to it. And I mentioned on my book and everywhere as well, the biggest threat to us probably is to switch off the, like you mentioned, the electricity or the Wi-Fi. Like we could live without being eating or maybe drinking for a while, but that I'm guilty for it. If the Wi-Fi is off or something wrong with the internet, I feel not comfortable. And I feel insecure just by realizing that.
What is interesting, if you go to a bus station or a train station, the people who hide there don't look for food or shelter. They look for electricity, for the plug or Wi-Fi. This is the first what they do. And this is the addiction. So we have to learn not to be addictive. And I do believe books like yours and this talk and many things else, the people will simply try, because it does not cost you. This is exactly the waste prevention. I just, few minutes ago, I posted a poll on LinkedIn generally. And I asked, do you think, it's here, let me read it.
Let's hear it.
Who can prevent waste happen is the question. And the answers, there are only two. Everyone or no one. And do you know what? There is 100%
participant
saying everyone. Only one answer. Of course, everyone can prevent waste happen. And this is exactly what you are describing. It's here. It's not in our pocket. In fact, if we reduce our addiction to the technology, we will have more money. Because we will not spend so much for electricity, for Wi-Fi, for connection, for data, whatever. I do remember that a time when you pay for every kilobyte. Can you imagine that today? In some countries like in Africa and so on, they still pay this way. Our conversation will have 30 gigabytes. I don't know. It's a lot of data.
Yes.
These people can, if they would like to see, they have to pay a lot of money to see, and nobody will do it.
And that's a waste.
That's a waste, exactly. I just make, 14 days ago or so, I make a keynote related to digital waste. And I was quite surprised because I spoke and I prepared for that, and I spoke with the provider of a data center, and I let him analyze what is the volume of data which are stored there but will never be used again. He said 85 to 92%. Wow. So global data centers are nothing else as a landfill, digital landfills. And we are investing money to fuel them with electricity, to cool them because they consume a lot in cooling, and to transfer the data. So we are feeding landfills.
We're feeding a center of junk.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was my fault. I didn't actually get to ask you to talk about what actually you're doing with Industry 5.0. Please give us a quick brief and what inspired you, the spirit of this movement. Yeah. Okay.
I will, at the very beginning, I will say that the word waste for me and for Industry 5.0 is not just the physical waste, the trash which lands in the garbage bin. That's important. We recognize 4 types of waste. Physical, this is the trash. Social waste, which are the people who cannot live meaningful life. There are many reasons. They are too young, too old, wrong gender or wrong color of skin, education. The list is unbelievable long. The third one is urban waste. Urban waste means empty factories, buildings, flats in the cities where people do not have a roof above their head. And At the same time, green fields which are built next to old factory. Why? And the last one, which is omnipresent, is the process waste. Because process waste is everywhere. It's in bank, in shop, everywhere is process waste, in school. So these are the 4 types. And what I do, I have developed a methodology which can identify this waste. It's called 6R, which can identify and give the man the tool to recognize it. This is the first one. Then to reconsider what to do with it and realize the change. What is interesting about these 3, and then came the reduce, reuse, recycle. So I call it 6R, but I put the new 3R above the old one because the old ones do not work at all. They work in very opposite way. Generally, recycling is a lie. It's great idea. The idea of recycling is 100% correct, but it is in the hands of waste industry. And we have to answer the question first, what is the core business of waste industry? To reduce the waste? No, to manage the waste. And that's a very big difference. So when they introduce recycling, means you and me separate the waste and make their life easier to make more money. It's not about reducing the waste. In UK, increased the waste volumes in last 30 years by 80%. Increased, not increased. Because the industry work a lot of with psychology. But coming back to me, so I am teaching industries, companies and people, and up to the level of government, how to prevent the waste happen. Because it's really only here. This is why I submitted a waste prevention legislation. It took me 8 years to write 1 page, 8 years. And in the meantime, I published over 3,000 articles, but this one took me really 8 years. And this is just 11 points, 10 points, which can be applied everywhere immediately. Right now, you don't need to invest anything. You don't need to change so much. You just don't waste. And this is why it's applicable immediately everywhere. It's translated into 60 languages. It's in 60 countries. First, governments try to implement it in the official legislation of the country. Companies started to implement it in their company policies. Because you can apply it everywhere. This is what I do. And when you stop it, then at this moment you have material, you have resources, not waste, you have resources. And that's a big difference. Because once a product becomes waste, you cannot touch it because of the legislation. Only the waste company or the waste industry can touch it. But if it remains product, you can work with it. You can make out of it whatever, stand for your mobile phone or a lot of things. And this is what I do. And I do it in 102 countries at the moment where the ambassadors are assigned. And the network is growing. And my aim is only one, to build a wasteless world for all. This is the only aim I follow for 9 years. Every day, 14 hours a day, in an office, 7 days a week, no holiday, nothing. Because we don't have time to waste. There is no time to waste. We have to act now. And because it's so simple, we can do it. Only we have to deliver the message to the people. And I hope with our communication, there will be new group of people who will learn how simple it is.
I mean, I highly recommend you to clarify that your wasteless, it's in omni way. It's not just a physical product wasteless. Now we're turning into digital world. This digital waste is actually even more crazy than the physical. All the time, all the energy, all our mental waste on this digital transformation journey. And because human thinking, you said it very well, this is where everything happens. And we're wasting this on junk instead of really doing meaningful things for humanity. So what you're doing, it's absolutely has tremendous meaning and purpose.
I just get on Monday, I have a quite interesting keynote on e-waste. so electronic waste. And I found few very interesting things. For example, you know that e-waste is younger than your parents?
Younger than my parents.
Yes, because the first time e-waste was introduced in any country, it was in the US. First time it was 1976. Before it was just waste, but they name it e-waste. And then in the rest of the world, they follow 13 years later, 1989. But what is the next interesting part is, you know that I have mentioned that on our orbit, there is so-called space debris, so trash.
Right.
170 million pieces already. And this is e-waste.
E-waste.
Because it came with a rocket, it came with something. If you buy a Tesla car, it will become e-waste after a few years. And what is interesting, and that's the very interesting part, from the moment when somebody identified and put this as a special waste, and I think digital waste is somehow connected to e-waste, they said, we have e-waste, it's dangerous. From this moment, it only grow up and scale up to the level that currently the e-waste is the biggest waste in the world. So it looks like that someone who pointed, we have e-waste, his intention was, let's make it great business out of it. And this is what the waste industry does. Because at the moment, same for carbon emission trading.
Yeah.
There was no carbon emission trading before Kyoto and others. And when they started, right now, it's one of the most profitable industries. And what is the worst about it? It has nothing to do with ecology. It's just an economical tool. The smoke does not disappear. You just prepare for doing evil. In the Middle Ages in Europe, it was called indulgences. The kings paid indulgences to the churches, and then they go for into the war and kill because it was prepaid. They can do evil, and this is exactly what is carbon emission trading at the moment.
Wow, sounds like you just reviewed the biggest challenge that we're facing. It's not the actual fact of waste itself. So what's the biggest challenge you're facing when executing, implementing?
It is the resistance of the giants, means the big players, governments, United Nations, and so on, to acknowledge they are doing wrong. Because, United Nations support carbon emission trading.
Yes.
They are supporting crime. This is the biggest crime against the planet. And I realized a long time ago that these giants are not only blind, because, they are so big, they don't see the world, the reality. We just feed them, but they don't see us anymore. But the second thing is, some of them are already dead. They just didn't recognize it because they are so big, they did not recognize this fact. So what I did with Industry 5.0, I'm waking up the people on the ground, you, me, and all the others for 9 years. And in 2020, I start up to give the same tool as Industry 5.0 to the government. Because I feel we are very close to the moment, and you see how many protests all around the world are because of COVID, because of Green Deal, because of many other climate and so on. So usually when these people from the bottom meet the people from the top, this moment is start of war, because these say white and these say red, and white is not red and red is not white. But with Industry 5.0 this change. At this moment when they will meet, these people will show Industry 5.0 and these people will reply Industry 5.0. So instead of a battle, this will happen. Because both will speak about Industry 5.0, both will understand what it is, and everyone can prevent waste happen. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. And there is a lot of people, companies, organization up to the level of European Commission and so on, who use the name which I invented and which I introduced, so Industry 5.0, as a buzzword to sell more robots, to sell more technology. It's not. It's not a buzzword. It's really completely new ecosystem. And one of the struggles which I have to control 3 times a day the development. And all the time when I find that somebody is misleading others and so on, I write to him, I offer the correct view from the founder of Industry 5.0 and a discussion like we have right now, and to not to mislead the audience, because already now 87% of global population, thanks to the ambassadors, have access to the right information. So if you as a MIT, for example, right now the US MIT is start to offering Industry 5.0 education. But they say they will educate about robots. It has nothing to do with Industry 5.0. So I wrote them. And the same happened today in the morning in Denmark, in some, and. So this is one of the challenges which if these will not be there,
right,
we will be much closer to Wasteless World at the moment. But the people, the giants, try to grab, not to really think, but it's too late. They did wrong work for so many years that we don't have time to waste. It's not possible.
And do you have any plan to solve this, or you kind of just see through it, just live with it, deal with it?
Every single time when I wrote to someone, there is a seed of change. Every time when I speak on a keynote and so on. So, I am a heavy writer and I deliver a lot of content. The people don't believe that I am alone who is doing, yes, I am here alone and I don't have anybody, but I love writing, I love communication. So this is why, and I work differently with the time. So I do much more than the others are able to do, thanks to core task management, which I developed for efficient work. And so I know that the change is already here because I see the perspective of 9 years. When somebody came in last month or a year, they don't see it. I see 9 years. And it is already here. COVID helps a lot to understand that it's not healthy environment. You see a big recession in the US market, on the labor market. The people do not want to come back to the offices. Elon Musk is spreading a threat. If you do not come back, you will be fired and so on.
Yes.
And these are the giants which he does not see the reality anymore. And so I know I do not have the tools to change the giants themselves, but I change the people around. And when the giant will have nothing to eat, it will go away. Simply it will die. And I don't say don't use the body of the giant. Let's use it. This is one of the on-the-ground minds. Let it become soil. Let it use the technology they developed. Let the car, no matter whether it's electric or combustion engine, if it's at the end of the use, let's turn it into something useful. The bus, why should I crash a bus when it cannot ride anymore? Bus is a small room. You just take the seats away. You saw so many transformation of the school buses into the small homes.
Yeah.
And so on. Tiny homes, exactly. I love this because they did so well and it's in such a short time. What is interesting in Czech Republic, we are used, or my parents and grandparents, there has been used to have a small gardens and there are small houses already for decades. But they call it cottage and they go there only for the summer. But for the last 10, 20 years, the people start to use this as a permanent living space as well. Despite the fact the legislation does not allow it. Even in the US, there is a legislation in some states which does not allow to have a home smaller than some footprint. I don't remember exactly, but there is something like that in the US. And just now, a few days ago, New York approved the right to repair. You know, the US was, I think, the only country in the world where you do not have the right to repair broken thing before. And just now New York approved it, and before I think 3 states in the US did it so. But it's the US. But in South America, there is one country which is interesting. And in this country, it's not legal to put compost from your food rest and so on into the agriculture where food is being grown for human consumption. I don't understand this, because there is nothing healthier than to get the food back. But they, by some law, they prohibit it. I think Uruguay or some of the countries in South America, I do not remember the name at the moment, but we have quite interesting discussion about it. So we have to change the laws, but not by adding something, no, from scratch. Let's put everything away and start from zero. That's a great challenge for everyone. Let's write it new with our knowledge. My country, the original country, created by this man, this is the first president, in 1918. We have the 8 hours working day.
Right.
This is in the legislation, same in the US, I think. And it was the 48th law approved by this man and his government. But still, even we have computers, we can do things much more faster, we have cars and whatever. Still, this 100 years old law is valid. Why? Because there are so many laws connected that they are not putting it away. Why? I don't understand why.
You just said it. They can't let go. And they're living in the cloud. That's the...
Exactly. You name it right. They are living in the cloud, yeah.
Wow. Sounds like it make me feel like taking a few deep breaths by hearing all the truth. So to end this powerfully, please share a few realistic or anything you think it's practical for us to be aware, a piece of advice or predictions.
So
you can choose either or both.
Other prediction. Firstly, let me inform the listeners about one thing. Many people ask me 2 questions. First one, who is the role model of Industry 5.0? To answer this is very simple. It's nature. Why? Nature does not waste. And if you ask about the plants, I am asked frequently business plan and roadmaps and so on. But please answer to me. Have you seen a tree holding in a branch a business plan that tomorrow it should deliver the fruits? I have not. So the development of Industry 5.0 is like the nature. If the rain will come, it will grow faster. If there will be more sun, we will slow down a little bit, but it is here. And I think within very short time, because we started on January 1st, we started project 17, which length is 17 months. It will end up on March 31st, 2023. And this is the biggest and the only global recovery project in human history. And I say that we can recover within 17 months, global economy, industries, society from COVID infection. And so this is the prediction. We have not 17 anymore, we have 11 months left, but we can do it. We can do it. We shouldn't waste the time. There is an entry fee for everyone can join, from small individuals up to the governments. And everyone has a fee. And what is interesting, every 2 months, this fee double. And what was interesting, for the Fortune 500 companies, the fee was 0.017% of the 2021 total turnover. Do you know what every 2 months double the price make in 17 months? it will make that this 0.17 increase to 46%, which means this is the value of lost time. And you see how fast this lost time is going to grow. My last words, because we can speak for days together, because it's great to speak with you, but I would like to say to everyone who is listening, have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe and free, because this will make your life meaningful. And this is what you need. Because as Carl Gustav Jung says, the man cannot live meaningless life. And this is exactly what I think.
A real human cannot live a meaningless life.
Yes. I will send you the unbelievable 1-hour interview from 1959 with Carl Gustav Jung. It's really great. Listen to that. And this is the last sentence of the interview.
Please. I will highlight everything that we mentioned today, where it corresponded to the part in my book. You will see how much it aligns with everything, including the meaning of life, including the awareness of the digital addiction, including the manipulation of the existing giant control. So yeah, I'm so happy we get to discuss all this together in a casual and official way to spread out the word. I guess the awareness, the consciousness of the message, of the human thinking is the root cause of every existence.
You name it exactly right. And this is why our communication is based on we call it the language of efficiency. We even don't need our words, and still we will understand each other, because it's our hearts who speak together. The mouth is just a speaker, nothing more. But it's more inside what connects us, and this is exactly, you name it. So it's here. We can change it right now, right here, just after listening to this. We can start to prevent waste happen, all type of these wastes. And this is what makes it so strong. So thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a wonderful, practical, insightful, and philosophical type of discussion that I'm dying for. So thank you, Michael. And thank you all, my dear audience, for taking the time tuning in. Make sure to follow this interview series every week. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of the week. And I'll see you at the next one. Bye for now. Bye, Michael.
Bye.